ANZ produces quarterly takes on agricultural trends, themes and drivers, but when it comes to beef every 3 years, they present a seriously beef-centric report, and I'm joined by Mark Bennett of ANZ to share its findings today. Welcome, Mark. Great to see you.
Thanks, Lindsay, and it's great to be here.
Isn't it nice weather outside?
So good.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Hey, so this report, let's start with, it's a significant piece of work, bit of research work. Who's behind the scenes? How do you compile it?
Yeah, our analysts are behind the scenes, our researchers, combined with all the best data that we can find, and then it's a mix of that data and what we actually see and observe through the customers that we have, not just in producing, but also right through the supply chain, domestic and international markets.
Let's get into the findings. Demand, pricing, where are we at?
Yeah, well, we would say we've certainly bottomed and bounced. We were in a bit of a free fall on commodity prices later last year from a very welcome and record high level, but we have seen the rebound, which is really welcomed. We think there's upside in pricing for our domestic producers still. We would see the current price of the Eastern Young Cattle Indicator tracking at about 600 cents today, which is around 25% down from its 5-year trend, which would otherwise have pricing at 800 cents. So, yeah, I think there's plenty to support a positive future price outlook.
Yeah, we've had a couple of researchers say the same sort of thing. How is weather going to factor into pricing, do you think?
Yeah, well, weather wasn't our friend for quite a while in the industry as the herd fell, but as we had that sort of restocker price tension with the buyers in the market, it was really critical to see prices rise to the levels that they did. We're now sort of in a different cycle of our herd composition, which stabilises things somewhat. But the weather will always have an influence, and I think for producers, they're always looking to be able to hold and grow. But when the weather turns off, you can become a forced seller. If the weather's good, you can hold and deal into a more normalised market.
The ever-dominant US herd plays such an important role in the global landscape. It's in a rebuild phase. What are the impacts going to be in the months to come?
Yeah, it is in a rebuild phase after a prolonged period of drought. It was really bringing a lot of welcome quality product into some of our key international markets. As now they go into a herd rebuild, that leaves space in the international market. Our key markets like Korea, like Japan, even into China. So that's an opening, but the double-edged benefit, I think, for Australian producers is that the US herd itself can't supply its domestic needs. The US is our biggest market right now. We've got a big opportunity to continue to sell our lean trim product, especially into that market, in addition to have a bit more space into our export market. So on the demand side, things are looking incredibly positive.
And Mark, in terms of our own national herd, where would you say we're at in their cycle?
Well, we certainly saw a herd liquidation through the drought periods leading up to sort of 2018 or 19, and we've had a solid rebuild since. So bottoming out at that 22 or 3 million head, arguably today, and it is an argument, but are we at the sustainable herd carrying capacity of the Australian industry? It depends on a range of things, but we're probably pretty close. That means we've got a lot of supply coming into a market, and it's operating quite differently than we saw in that restocker period as seasons returned. Mark,
with all of that incredible research, what would your overarching comment be as you walk around and chat to producers over the next few days?
Yeah, look, it's a positive feeling and vibe here at Beef Week, I would have to say, and I think that's always the case. It's a very long-term industry, and everyone has to take that long view. I think there's volatility in the market. That's something to manage, but it also creates some opportunities and some different ways of trading, of growing, how producers manage their margins at the farm level. Trying to mitigate windows of risk through shorter production cycles or genetic improvements, or even a supply line and a specialised breed run at a certain market and a supply chain, are all the kind of things that we're talking about and seeing out there in the market today. So I think the industry's in great shape for the future.
Mark Bennett, thanks for sharing the report's findings with us.
Thanks,
and don't go anywhere, because Prime Minister Anthony Albanese joined us in Beef TV studios, and we're very interested in what he has to say about the beef industry's future.